Guitar weight. There are people with legitimate health and age reasons that want to shop for a lighter guitar. But what about the rest of us? Do we put too much stock into how much a guitar weighs? Today I want to talk about that and also share with you two experiences that I've had over the last few months that have kind of changed my perspective on the topic. In August I found this guitar, one that I've been looking for in this sort of condition for a long time, an American Vintage 65 Jaguar. In the ad, it said it was 8 pounds, 5 ounces, and I was really excited about that. Most American-made Jaguars lean more towards 9 pounds, and for me, I typically play guitars that are around 7 pounds, or in some cases, even less than that, so I could definitely manage with that sort of weight, at least I thought. When the guitar showed up, I opened up the box, I took it out of the case, and as soon as I lifted it, I said, there is no way that this thing weighs that. Played it for a few chords, and then, like the idiot that I am, I immediately needed to know exactly how much it weighed, so I put it on the scale, and it showed 8 pounds, 15 ounces. I contacted the seller, and I said, dude, what's up with this? And he said, yeah, I never actually weighed this guitar. I used the weight that Fender listed in their original advertisements. So, tip number one here, unless you see on the advertisement's picture section the guitar on a scale with an accurate weight, you might not always be getting exactly what you see in the ad. At the time, I was really annoyed with the seller, but I said, you know what? It took me a long time to find one of these in this color and in this condition, and it was my only real complaint with the guitar. I'm going to hold on to it and see if maybe I can adjust to it or perhaps change my mind. A week later, a friend of mine asked if I could do some scratch bass guitar tracking for them, so I asked my wife if I could borrow her bass to do it. After an hour of sitting down and tracking, I was really starting to feel the weight of this one, so naturally, I busted out the scale to see how much this thing weighed. 10 pounds. Now I'm starting to ask questions of myself because my wife is a few inches shorter than I am and about 30 pounds less than I am, and in our entire time together, which is almost 10 years at this point, not once has she ever complained about the weight of this bass or any other bass that she's ever played. I also started to think about so many other bands, especially bands that were made up of girls that were playing non-weight relief Les Pauls, big old basses like this one, and never having problems seemingly because they've continued to do so in some cases for well over a decade, like the band Scandal. Is there something wrong with me? So I asked my wife, and in a way that only a married person would understand, she responded very bluntly, "Your posture sucks." And she was right. It only took watching one video of myself playing a Telecaster to see just how bad my posture was, and this wasn't something that happened overnight. These are habits that you develop over time, so if you're somebody that's a newer player, you can avoid all of this if you just address your posture to begin with. Nowadays, a few months later, I play this guitar with no pain for hours both standing up and sitting down, and I'm going to share with you the main reasons why I feel that is. Number one, my body got used to it. After time, it's just like lifting weights. If you start off with something that feels a little bit heavier to you, the more often that you lift that weight, the less it's going to feel like a burden. You can move on to something even heavier than that. Reason number two, I started to really address my posture, but not just when I was sitting or standing playing guitar, just in general day-to-day life. I just kind of developed this kind of almost hunch thing, and it's not really good for your health in general, so that's helped out a lot. Number three, when I do stand and play guitar, I exclusively use this strap. This is a big, wide, padded, right-on strap. And the other thing that I did was I actually tightened it a little bit so the guitar sits up a little higher than it did when I was a little bit younger playing out with shows, and that actually takes a little bit of the weight off of your body doing it that way. And now I can enjoy this and a few other guitars sitting or standing for hours at a time, and I don't have any pain afterwards. Something that also plays a huge role in how heavy a guitar feels to you, but it's almost impossible to gauge when you're shopping online, and that's balance. This Johnny Marr Jaguar weighs over 5 ounces less than the American Vintage 65, but it feels heavier because this is a much, much better balanced instrument than the Marr. Finally, I want to end the video talking about why I believe guitar weight has become such an important piece of information for buyers nowadays. It has everything to do with how we purchase guitars. You used to have to go into a store, and what you would do is you would take multiple guitars off a rack to try them out. You would know pretty quick if something was going to work for you, whether it was the neck or the weight, whatever it was. You'd either love it or you'd go on to the next guitar. You didn't have the weight listed on the tag. It wasn't one of those things. And nowadays, since everything's done online, people want to know the thickness at the 1st fret and the 12th fret. They want to know the weight. All that sorts of stuff is information to try and replicate that experience. But at the end of the day, as I just told you, that happened with the 2 different Jaguars. Balance plays a factor as well, and it's something that you're just simply not going to be able to gauge based on a listing online. So whenever you are shopping around for a guitar, I highly encourage you, try to get to a local shop. Even if it takes you a few hours to get there, make it a little day trip. Enjoy it. You might find something that you wouldn't normally think you would get along with, and you might be surprised. Either way, it is a good thing to be a little bit more mindful of your posture. It's good for your overall health, even not playing guitar. But when you do play guitars, you might find yourself a little bit more comfortable playing something awesome like this that might have been a little bit out of your weight range before you worked on it. Thank you guys for watching today's video. I know this is kind of a funny thing, and I think about the nitpicky things that we as guitarists complain about. At the end of the day, it is kind of silly and kind of ridiculous, but I can understand why it is important to so many, because for me, it is an important thing, but now that I've addressed it, not that big of a deal. Hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Take it easy, everybody.